So I want to talk about the first four Scarlet and Violet sets. And the reason why I specifically want to talk about these is because it seems like a lot of people have been saying, I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, that the first four sets are pretty much done for reprints. I've been hearing that from a lot of sources, a lot of places, and if this is true, should you be buying these booster boxes at these prices? That's what I want to talk about. So the first thing I guess I want to talk about is MSRP. Because, Sword and Shield, the MSRP was $143 for a booster box. And now it's $161 MSRP for a booster box. Now, when you take that into consideration that the MSRP is about $20 higher, you got to take that into account with what you see with these booster boxes. Because, for example, Scarlet and Violet base, it's $144. Now, that seems expensive, right? But if you compare to MSRP from, Sword and Shield when it was 143, percentage-wise, I've done the math, this equates to about a $125 booster box from Sword and Shield era. If you compare it, MSRPs. So in that way, this is like $125 booster box if the MSRP was $143. But in Scarlet and Violet, the MSRP is higher at $161. So the prices technically are higher. Yeah, they are. But comparative to MSRP, it's not as high as it seems. So just take that into account when you think of these things because, the reason why MSRP gets talked about a lot, especially with booster boxes, is because, when the market price goes above MSRP, people flock to the Pokemon Center to buy them up. Now, a lot of these, Scarlet and Violet booster boxes are already sold out on the Pokemon Center website, surprisingly. But that's why MSRP is talked about a lot with booster boxes. I mean, we saw that with Sword and Shield. A lot of these Sword and Shield sets, when the booster boxes went above MSRP, people flocked to the Pokemon Center website. When they sold out, there was no baseline MSRP price, and then just market took it wherever because there was no more, available for MSRP. So let's just first talk about Scarlet and Violet here. Base. So Scarlet and Violet base is $144. Now, I've told this to you guys many times. This is the best base set we've ever seen, artwork-wise. It has a lot of great artworks as the Miriam, and it has like the Ralts, Curlia, and Gardevoir, kind of line where, the whole family grows up together. It's a really cool concept. And just overall, this base set has really nice cards. However, the value. There's not that much value in this set. So that's the only bad part is that, there's really good artworks, but none of them are extremely valuable. Like, the most expensive card I'll show you here is like $40. So, at $144, there are some other boxes you can buy for $140. And if you were to spend like $10, $15 more on a booster box, you could be getting some other sets like Temporal Forces. So just for that reasoning, in my opinion, I think Scarlet and Violet base, it'll keep going up, obviously. But the fact that you can spend a little bit more money and get in my opinion, a way better set, I wouldn't buy Scarlet and Violet base at this price. If you can find a deal for closer to $100, then obviously I would say that's a really good buy. But as of right now, at $144 market price, I wouldn't buy it. Just in my opinion. It'll go up. I wouldn't be surprised at the end of this year it gets close or maybe surpasses $200. I wouldn't be that surprised. But the fact that it just doesn't have that huge chase at $144, it's really hard to say that's a really good buy. And skipped. Okay, so here is the set. You can see here, a lot of these cards have gone up in value. But the Gardevoir, it's $50. That's the top chase card. And if you look at it, it does have a decent amount of cards in the double digits here. You can see there's a decent amount. But I think we've all seen from experience and seen Sword and Shield, a lot of sets maybe deeper, right? But if another set has that one big chase card, but it's not as deep as a set, that one big chase card will carry the whole thing and actually surpass the sets that are deeper because it just has a big chase card. So, although like I said, this is a very good base set for 140 bucks. I don't think it's the best pickup. But you know, I don't think obviously this is going to get reprinted. Basically, I'm assuming with all these, they're probably not going to get reprinted based on just generally how people have been talking about them, especially base set. I don't think it's going to really get cheaper, right? So you could then say and argue that it's still a good buy because they're not getting any cheaper because it's not getting reprinted, and that's fair enough. But just the future outlook on this set, yeah, it's going to go up, but I think it's going to be one of those things where it's going to go up to a certain point and kind of hit a wall because at some point it's going to have a tough time growing because there's going to be better sets out there that are just going to, surpass it, and this is going to kind of lag behind. And we can see that with a lot of sets in the past from different eras. The bad ones, they'll go up, like from Sword and Shield, like Rumble Clash, and they'll just kind of stay there. So that's my opinion on Scarlet and Violet base. I don't think it's the worst buy ever, but I don't think it's the best buy for the first 4 sets at its price point. So now we get to a very interesting case here. Paldea Evolved. So Paldea Evolved was like 140 bucks a month ago. You can see here, it's 140 bucks. Now it's at 200. So Paldea Evolved is about a year and a half old. We got that little restock reprint thing at the end of last year, and seemingly, people have been saying that this is probably very unlikely to get a reprint. So at $200 though, is it still a good buy? Because this set does have an expensive card in it. This set does have the Magic card, which is a very iconic card in this era, which is sort of surprising because this is just an illustration rare. It's not an SNR, it's not an SAR. I think there is a grading play on this. Like, it's pretty hard to grade. I think that's one reason why. But it's over 200 bucks for a normal illustration rare. Because it's just an iconic card of this era. And it does also have some other hits that are, also popular, as you can see here. Iono, Raichu, Tyranitar, those are like the main other chases here. But yeah, it just has one card that's pretty expensive. So a booster box that's $200 right now, and the Magikarp is just above 200. Is this still a good buy? Now, just based on all the sets that have been released so far, the main set, there's been 8 main sets, right? Magikarp, honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like Magikarp is more talked about card than like the Greninja EX from Twilight Masquerade. I feel like it's that iconic, even though it's just a normal illustration rare. And, for that reasoning, honestly, I could see this card in the future being more expensive. So, with that being said, this card being this iconic, just being a normal illustration rare, and there's also just other, I don't want to discount the other artworks, but I was just mainly talking about the other, like, artworks that are more talked about, like these 3. At 200 bucks, it is a little bit expensive. At 140s, like a month ago, it was a great buy, right? But at 200 bucks, think about it this way. Silver Tempest is a little bit over 2 years old. Booster boxes are in the 240s. So if you paid $40 more, you can get a Sword and Shield box. Silver Tempest has Lugia, Rayquaza, obviously. You can argue this is a better set because it has better artworks, and that's fair enough. But at 200 bucks, it is pretty expensive. So it's one of those things where I want to say it's the best. I mean, in this whole market, it's really hard to find any good deals for any booster boxes, but it's really hard because it'll go up. But at 200 bucks, like, how much more can it go up? It's really difficult. And at 200, like, it is definitely because it's probably not. This is probably one of the sets that probably not gonna get reprinted. I would say, if you have Paldea Evolved booster boxes already, probably wouldn't really buy any more. But if you don't have any, obviously, assuming it doesn't get reprinted again, now's probably when you want to buy. Because it's a really good set. It's a really, iconic set because of the Magikarp. And has a lot of other nice artwork. So I would say if you don't have any, it's still a decent buy. But if you do already have it, adding more at 200 bucks seems, I don't know, it seems pretty expensive. But I still think it's a really good set. It's just $200 for a Scarlet and Violet era booster box is a little bit rough. Now, Obsidian Flames. So, Obsidian Flames is one of those, sets and boxes that has gone up a good amount. And it was surprising because Obsidian Flames for the longest time was pretty cheap. It was pretty hated on. I still don't think the set's that great. I think right now, because of the market we're in, it is a little bit overinflated because of the Charizard thing. We know that there's like a Charizard premium. But I think this is going to be one of those sets where it goes up. And it's been going up, right? And it's going to hit a wall. Because, I've noticed in this market, a lot of the worst sets, right, in each of the eras, for some reason, people like to hype them up. I don't know what it is, but when you look at Obsidian Flames, it's really not that great of a set. And I'm comparing it to the rest of Scarlet and Violet. Because especially at its price point now at $165, it's really hard to say that this is a good set. Guys, this Charizard for the longest time was like in the 50s, but like this has just recently gone. I'll just pull up here just to show you guys. This card, let me change it in here, man. This card for the longest time was 40, 50 bucks. It has just recently gone up, like a lot of other cards. And in my opinion, I really feel like this has to do with the market. I feel like just artwork wise, if you look at this, like, yeah, it's just Charizard, but the artwork isn't, I don't know. I feel like this is a little bit inflated. I feel like this will cool down when the market cools down. Has never been a really popular top chase card in this era. And I just think that for 165 bucks for a booster box, I don't think it's a good buy. I'd spend $30 more and buy a Paldea Evolved. Or I would honestly, like, even at this price, like, I would just go pick up, like, Temporal, because it's the same price. And Temporal, in my opinion, is a way better set. So, I don't think Obsidian Flames is a really good buy. Honestly, out of all these, sets, I don't think this is a really great buy. If you really look at it, Scarlet by the base is even technically a deeper set than this one, based on value. Like, guys, look at this. Like, I don't know why people try to hype up this set. I don't want to, I know I've always been a hater of Obsidian Flames, but guys, look at the value in here. So, yeah, Obsidian Flames is probably one of the worst buys out of all these in my opinion, just because it's not that strong. Like, seriously, I don't know why people try to hype this set up. It's not that strong. So lastly, we have Paradox Rift. Now, out of all these booster boxes that I've showed you here, I think Paradox Rift might be one of the best pickups right now. So, Paradox Rift has always been a little bit cheaper than Temporal, because Temporal right now is like 155, 160. Right now, Paradox Rift is going for around low 140s. And, you could have found these for really cheap. I understand, like 90 bucks not too long ago, but they've recently got up to 140. But Paradox Rift is one of those sets that it seems like it's probably especially not going to get a reprint, just because it got printed a lot in the beginning. Nobody wanted it, and it sat. So I think for just that reasoning, I don't see a reprint happening. If they do one, it's probably going to be extremely small, because for the longest time, this set, no one really wanted it. And it's always been sort of an underrated set, a lot of people say. And I agree, it's a decent set, and for the price it was not too long ago at 90 bucks, it was a great buy. But even right now, at 140s, $20 under MSRP, I still think this is a good buy, in my opinion, assuming that I don't, think that this is going to get reprinted. And, when you look at the cards in the set, it's the same situation as Paldea Evolved, where the illustration rare is the top card, it's the Groudon. This is a pretty popular card, a lot of people know about it in this era. It has a Roaring Moon, and it has Altaria, and also the Iron Valiant. These are the mainly, the cards we talked about. These other cards, they're decent, but it's nothing that crazy if you look at value-wise. But for 140 bucks, if you look at this era, for 140 bucks, you can only really buy now Paradox Rift, Scarlet, and Violet base. If you pay a little bit more, you can get Temporal. But other than that, like, I guess Stellar Crowns are on the same price too. Just looking at the cards in the set, I think for $140 right now for value in Scarlet Violet, and I don't think this is getting reprinted, I think it's still a good buy, to be honest, at 140 bucks. Because, like I said, you got to think about MSRP here. MSRP is 161, so this is probably the best buy out of all these I'm showing you here. And if you can find some for around this price in this market, you can find a case maybe for low 800s. I think this is a good buy, because this set, I think right now, is a year old, maybe a little bit over a year old, around there. And if you think about everything right now with reprints and stuff like this, all the sets and everything, the sets right now that have just come out, everybody's talking about reprints, and all these future sets. These first four sets I showed you here, since they're kind of getting a little bit older. Some of them have already gone reprints. Some sets like Paradox Rift, got printed a lot. No one really wanted them. It's really unlikely, in my opinion, they're going to go back to these older sets and reprint these ones. So that's why I just wanted to talk about these, is because they're unlikely to get reprints, and I wanted to talk about if I still think they're good pickups based on the prices and the cards inside of them. So if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know down in the comments what you guys think is the best buy out of all these 4 sets. Do you think it's Scarlet Violet Base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian, or Paradox Rift? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.